Hello and welcome to Thrills Locker. Today in the locker, I have found 3 very short horror stories for you, and I have compiled them all in this little triple feature here. I hope you enjoy. Story number 1. The Girl in the Photograph. No author known. One school day, a boy named Tom was sitting at his desk by the window doing math. It was 6 more minutes until school ended. As he was doing his homework, something caught his eye. Looking at the grass outside, he thought he saw a picture. When school was over, he ran outside fast so that no one else could grab it. He picked it up and smiled. It was an image of the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. She had a dress with tights on and red shoes, and her hand was formed into a peace sign. She was so beautiful that he wanted to meet her, so he ran all over the school asking everyone if they knew her or had ever seen her before. But everyone he asked said no. He was devastated. When he got home, he asked his older sister if she knew the girl, but unfortunately she said no. At this point, it was very late, so he walked upstairs, placed the picture on his bedside table, and went to sleep. In the middle of the night, Tom was awakened by a tap on his window, like from a fingernail. It scared him. After the tapping, he heard a giggle. He saw a shadow outside, so he got out of bed, walked towards it, opened the window, and listened for the giggling. By the time he had reached the glass, it was gone. The next day, he asked his neighbors if they knew the girl. Nobody did. When his mother came home, he even asked her if she knew her. She said no. Saddened, he went to his room, placed the picture on his desk, and fell asleep. Once again, he was awakened by a tapping. Taking the picture, he followed the giggling outside. He walked across the road, when suddenly he was hit by a car. It was dead on impact, the picture still in his hand. The driver got out of the car and tried to help the boy, but it was too late. He could only pick up and view the picture he was holding. He saw a cute girl holding up 3 fingers. That was a pretty good story. A little too goosebumps, say cheese and die for me, but I think you'll enjoy this next one. Story number 2. Teddy by Raidenist. My sister had a teddy bear. A scary teddy bear. I do not know why, but it creeped me out. It was just so disturbing to me. The thing had eyes that looked so real. It was as if it was made from a real bear, and its face was just blank and unsettling. I started to get weird feelings about the bear when my sister first got it. She was only a baby at the time, and I was about 4. We had a dog, you see, and he had a habit of eating things, so my mother always had to put it up on the small cabinet in the corner of my hallway upstairs. Every time I went up those stairs, I saw that creepy bear suddenly glare around the corner at me, as if it was watching me. This wasn't the weird part. It started to get really strange about 5 years later, at the age of 6 or 7. My sister had lost interest in the bear, so my mother just threw it in the old toy cupboard. The only problem was that the cupboard was in my room. When I was 9, old enough to stay on my own and go to bed without any assistance, I would get into bed every night and turn my lamp off. This is when it got scary. As I was getting some sleep, I suddenly remembered Mum putting that teddy in the cupboard. I slowly turned and looked across my room to see it through the glass. My heart suddenly stopped as I thought about the horrors the plush had caused me. But at the age of 9, I wanted to grow up and lose my fears, so I shook it off and put my head back on the pillow. When I got up to pull my sheets on a bit further, I noticed something that would scar me for life. There, sat at the end of my bedroom, was the teddy. I sat there staring at it for about a minute. My heart started beating normally again. When I needed to yawn, I closed my eyes. I opened them to see the teddy sitting closer to my bed. At this point, I was really freaked out. I started to move back to the wall and looked around to see if there was any sign that someone had come in. When I looked back to see the teddy on the end of my bed, I was so startled that I almost fainted from fear. When I blinked, it had gone. I looked around. To my relief, I saw no sign of it. I sat my head back on the pillow, hoping for some sleep. Then I opened my eyes. It was above my head, staring straight down. I screamed as it lunged down at me. I will never see our bear the same way again. After a few years later, after years of horror, I burned it. I sat in enjoyment as the bear turned to smoking ashes in my fireplace. I have lived through my teenage life, through adolescence. The only thing I could remember that was in any way similar to my bad experience was when I watched Trainspotting. That fucking baby scene shocked me so badly. But other than that, all was well. When I turned 19, I was about to move into my new home. I had been given the keys to the house and was ready to set up my furniture. After hours of carrying, I carried the final box from the removal truck into the front door and shut the door behind me. I turned to go into the kitchen to put it on the table. I opened it to see a cabinet. I took it out, walked into my new living room and placed it on the corner, stared at it and thought to myself, I don't remember packing this cabinet. I didn't really care that much, as I had just moved into my new home. I walked back into the kitchen to grab my television and brought it into the living room when I saw it. The teddy. It just sat there, staring at me. Alright, I'll admit, that story was a lot scarier. This locker is starting to feel a little cramped. Let's see if it stacks up with his third and final story.
Height joke.
Story 3. The Tall Man. No author known. I know of an old Romanian fairy tale. Highly unpopular even in its earliest iterations. It might be based on a particular event, or perhaps it's an extrapolation from existing Slenderman stories. The translation I'm most familiar with goes a bit like this. Once upon a time, there were twin girls, Stella and Sorina. They were brave little girls and had no fear of the dark, nor of spiders and other crawling things. Where other young ladies and even young boys would cower, Stella and Sorina would walk with their heads held high. They were good girls, obedient to their mother and father and to the word of God. They were the best children a mother could ask for, and this was their undoing. One day, Stella and Sorina were out with their mother gathering berries from the forest. Their mother bid them stay close to her, and they listened as they were good children. The day was bright and clear, and even as they walked closer to the center of the forest, the lights barely dimmed. It was nearly bright as noon when they found the tall man. The tall man stood in a clearing, dressed as a nobleman, all in black. Shadows lay over him, dark as a cloudy midnight. He had many arms, all long and boneless as snakes, sharp as swords, writhing like worms on nails. He did not speak, but made his intentions known. Their mother tried not to listen, but she could no more disobey the tall man than she could forget how to breathe. She walked into the clearing, her daughter shortly behind her. "Stella," she said, "take my knife and cut a circle on the ground big enough to lie in." Stella, who was not afraid of the tall man, nor afraid of the quiver in her mother's voice, obeyed what her mother said. "Sorina," the mother said, "take the berries and spread them in the circle, and crush them underfoot until the juice stains the earth." Though Sorina wondered why her mother asked her to do such a thing, she obeyed, because she was a good girl. "Stella," the mother said, "lie in the circle." Stella, though worried she might stain her clothes, did as her mother asked. "Sorina," the mother said, and bid Sorina cut her sister open with the knife. Sorina could not, would not. "Please," her mother said, "if you don't, it will be worse. So much worse." But Sorina could not, and she threw the knife away and ran home crying. She hid under her bed, afraid for the first time in her life. She waited until her father came home from the fields and told him of the horrible things she had found in the woods. Her father comforted her and told her she would be safe. He went to the woods, his axe in hand, and, as he commanded, she stayed by the hearth, waiting for his return. After some time, she fell asleep. When she woke, it was to the sound of knocking on her door at the darkest hour of night. "Who is there?" she said. "It is your father," the knocker said. "I don't believe you." "It is your sister," the knocker said. "It cannot be," said Sorina. "I am your mother," said the knocker, "and I told you it would be worse." The door, locked tight before her father left, fell open as if it had been left ajar. Her mother stepped in, her sister's head clutched in one bloody hand, her father's in the other. "Why?" wept Sorina. "Because," said her mother, "there is no reward for goodness, there is no respite for faith. There is nothing but cold steel teeth and scourging fire for all of us, and it's coming for you now." The tall man slid from the fire and clenched Sorina in his burning embrace, and that was the end of her. Thank you for listening. I hope to turn this into a series of sorts. This locker is full of stories that I simply must get out. Please like and subscribe to feel the tick like clockwork. My name is Thrill, and you've been listening to Thrill's Locker.